Hi guys, Iron Cameraman here. All of a sudden, Dafuk Boom has a new video out today. And as you all know, he showed 2 new additional scenes. In the first one, we finally saw the fate of Lucky Cameraman, because we haven't seen him for a long time. And in the second one, besides cameramen taking pictures next to killed toilets, there was a mini battle between TV Man Titan and G-Man. As you might have guessed, the sum total of these seemingly not-so-big scenes gave food for thought, because they're a little different from everything Dafuk showed us before in the extra scenes. Today, I'll explain to you what their strangeness is all about. And of course, you will learn all the hidden details and secrets, so be sure to watch until the end and don't rewind so you don't miss anything. And don't forget to like, because if we get 5,000 likes, tomorrow we'll release a super interesting video with a cool global theory, just the way you like it. Anyway, here we go. As you know, we usually start sequentially, and it would be more logical to tell you about the first scene now and then about the second. But this time I'll do the opposite, and if you watch carefully, you'll soon understand why I did it that way. In the preview of this video, we see TV Man Titan and G-Man with a knife in his eye. It's no wonder, as Dafuk Boom needs to motivate as many people as possible to click on the new video and gain more views. Choosing just such a shot for the preview is a good choice. Along with that, naturally, he had to do that extra battle to justify this particular shot. You might think that the scene with this battle, which takes place between episodes 73 and 74, is almost useless from the story side. However, this is not the case at all. Let's pay attention to their dialogue first and then break down the details so you understand my conclusion. In front of G-Man, TV Man Titan teleports in and tells him, "You can't run forever." To this, G-Man replies, "Give me one chance." TV Man's next phrase is pretty expected. He asks him, "After all that you've done?" and adds, "Never," and then called him a coward. Let me remind you that all this chronologically takes place before the events of episode 74, and more precisely, right after episode 73, where TV Man teleported somewhere, leaving the other 2 Titans behind. So here TV Man doesn't know yet that the Astro Army is approaching. And I immediately remembered 2 other phrases from G-Man. Remember what he said in episode 73, that something was coming and that the Titans were fools? He also said that they needed him. With that in mind, his request for a second chance in that extra scene is further proof of my theory that G-Man is hinting at a temporary truce. And no, I'm not talking about him starting to help them and them becoming best friends. That's unrealistic at this point. I'm talking specifically about a truce so they can at least stop hunting each other down and focus on Astro toilets. Plot-wise, this is an important scene for that very reason. Dafuk Boom wanted to use this dialogue to show that the situation is so messed up that it's not going to unite everyone easily and quickly. What G-Man has been doing throughout the series is not something that can be easily forgotten. Although, on the other hand, this battle happened before episode 74 and may have been shown just to demonstrate how their relationship will change in the future. But there's another question here. What is the terrain? And where does this battle take place? For the answer, let's start parsing the details. Right off the bat, we can see that the cameramen are taking photos of themselves in various poses next to the murdered Skibidi Toilets, most likely for Instagram. The most vulgar one is the far-right cameraman holding Skibidi Toilet's head. Mind you, the same bully agent was in episode 56, so it's probably his brother. The leftmost cameraman looks like he's been looking at fashion magazines, while the second and third just sit and chill. By the way, the third one is even smoking a cigar. I don't know how agents' bodies are organized in detail, but I'm sure that smoking is bad for them as well as for people, so I wouldn't advise you to follow him. Smoking is evil. You can tell from the plaque that this is the Alpha Hills Laboratory Engineering Center. This means that engineers worked here before the Skibidi virus, and I immediately got the full picture. It turns out that this scene takes place at the same time as the beginning of episode 74, just with the difference that the action takes place outside instead of inside. And now I'll explain why. Remember the poster from episode 70 with the different engineers next to the secret agent? Well, in episode 74, those very same engineers were among the people and some of the toilets. like this one with the purple TV man stealing his head. So it's not hard to guess that since so many engineers are gathered next to each other, they're in the engineering center. So what does that tell us? I think you can guess. Now we move on to the first additional scene, which chronologically takes place between episodes 72 and 73. We have already seen this room in another extra scene from the end of episode 70, but there was no lucky cameraman there. But the detective was already there. This means that the detective came here before the lucky cameraman supposedly died in episode 70. But then what's the reason for him being here if in the timeline Plunger died literally 10 seconds before this scene, and even theoretically he wouldn't have gotten here so quickly in that case? The whole point is that he originally came because of other anomalies, because besides Plunger's green particles before his death, there were other oddities recorded by the cameramen. For example, remember the twins in the elevator from the mid-70 episode when they could be spotted without recording errors? Although the same lucky cameraman, even before his resurrection, had reason to check out because of a device from Secret Agent that opened a gate in the lab. The way I see it, the squad didn't touch Plunger and Lucky Cameraman the entire time they were in the lab because the mission to kill the Skibidi scientist was prioritized. They waited until the mission was over and they were in the hospital so they could be held for interrogation after treatment. But as we know, all the witnesses with anomalies and recording errors died, and only Lucky Cameraman of such select cameramen was alive, and that was because he was resurrected by the secret agent himself with the words that he had more work to do. Based on everything I have listed, it seems to me that he is not stupid and knew that Lucky Cameraman would be detained by the detective. I think this is part of the secret agent's plan, and he needed to get Lucky Cameraman to him for his devious plan. As Lucky Cameraman looks at his hand, you can see in the background that the detective is just getting closer. This means that he has already been told that Lucky Cameraman is normalizing and finishing his recovery. At this time, Lucky Cameraman, unsuspecting, gives a thumbs up to the doctors, showing that he is already feeling well, and walks towards the door. When the door opens, we see the detective holding his cylinder with his hand and epically redirecting his gaze towards us, and it becomes clear that we are under arrest. Initially, when I first saw this scene, I thought the detective was talking to someone on a walkie-talkie, as is common in movies. However, upon review, it becomes clear that he's not even touching his ear, just leveling his hat. Although I wouldn't rule out the possibility that he has some sort of boss who is watching him from downstairs. Write in the comments what you think about it. The handcuffs they put on our poor Lucky Cameraman had a light amplifier, just like in future movies. When it is turned to the right, judging by the corridors and the many cameramen, we are most likely inside their main base, which we have already been shown in episode 50. Among the usual workers who take their time doing their jobs, a cameraman can be seen in the distance running somewhere. You might think I'm going to have a brilliant theory about him, and you wouldn't be wrong. You'd better sit down so you don't fall over from shock. The thing is, I've gone through every possible way of who he is and why he's running, and I've come to one single conclusion. Way back in episode 19, we saw agents who eat and drink, and therefore they, like us, need restrooms. Apparently this cameraman drank more than he should have, and hopefully he'll make it to the restroom in time. So let's wish him luck. But wait, because the toilets in this universe are living beings and their main enemies. Then it turns out... Okay, we'll discuss that another time. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss tomorrow's video, and if you haven't watched it, I advise you to watch my analysis of episode 74. Bye.